Yo, what's up guys, Jack here, and you might remember around 2 months ago I posted my first impressions of For Honor after I got a chance to play the game at E3 and record it. Unfortunately at the time I was only able to post the single player element of the game, but now I'm finally able to share some of the multiplayer action with you, and I like it. I think it's very good. Don't be thinking for 1 second though that this is some sort of hack and slash button masher. It's not like that at all. This game takes a lot of strategy, it's got depth, and it's got some thought about how you approach combat, especially against other real players of course, and if you don't plan it properly you'll end up getting beaten quite easily. I know I did a few times. First off, this is how it works. There are 3 factions: Knights, Samurais and Vikings. Each faction then has 4 different class variants, which are Vanguard, Assassin, Heavy and Hybrid. Each type will have different attributes, and it's important to note that Vanguards across different factions can vary slightly and have different attributes as well. Don't expect the Samurai Vanguard to be a carbon copy of the Viking Vanguard, for example. You'll need to learn strengths and weaknesses of them all. In this build of the game we were only able to pick the Vanguard of each faction, a middle ground really of all the classes. We were also able to change up the look of our character with some visual customization. There are some cool variants in there, as well as being able to pick gender, but it's all cosmetic and doesn't have any impact in game on your character. So the mode that we played is called Dominion. It's a 4 vs 4 based game mode where you fight for control of 3 capture points. The play area is also filled with AI for you to smash away at, which will help you level up your character. In terms of combat, this game is not easy. If you remember the last time I talked about it, I said it took me quite a few goes to get used to the mechanics, and playing against other humans I think takes a bit more getting used to than that. You can block left, right or upwards using the analog stick and holding in left trigger, and you can do the same for attacking as well. You can do a light or heavy attack and pick whichever direction you want. You can also dodge from attacks and charge your enemy to break their guard. And when you put all of these pieces together you're left with a very in-depth fighting system, especially considering that these are real players you're fighting against. You've got to be smart about who you engage with and when. This will be more apparent in the final game when you're going to have different class types. You've got to pay attention to where your opponent is blocking or attacking or dodging and act accordingly. Timing is of the essence. Each swing has weight to it though, and if you start mashing away you'll just run out of stamina, and that of course can be a big issue and leave you defenseless. I found I had a real tendency to just try and use heavy attack all the time. It just looks cool, but you do have to try and place your attacks a bit more intelligently than that. I'm sure that if you're a big fan of the Dark Souls series you'll feel right at home here. The game is also pretty brutal, as you can imagine. These are samurais and Vikings after all, and the most brutal part is probably the executions. Finish off your enemy with a heavy attack and it'll give you the option to end their life in a brutal fashion, but this isn't just for show. If you manage to do an execution it will increase the spawn time of the enemy you just killed, and I think it gives you some more health back too, so there's a bit more benefit to performing those actions. I did feel though that it was very hard to compete with 2 players at once. Whenever I came into a situation where there was 2 players versus just me, I felt that I had no chance at all. Now that of course could just be down to me not intelligently defending and being new to the game. As I say, I could have had more time with the game and practice, but it was something that I noticed nonetheless. Maybe you should just try and pick your fights more carefully and not go 2 versus 1, but I feel like sometimes in a multiplayer game when there's 4 players on the enemy team, it's just bound to happen every now and again. There's also a revenge meter in the game that charges when you block or parry blows. If you're in a 1v2 for instance and you go defensive and manage to block the blows, then the revenge meter will charge up and you gain a huge attack boost when you activate it, so that could be the key to surviving when you're outnumbered. If you get into trouble you can also heal up by running up to an objective that your team owns, and because there's no restrictions with faction types you can actually have a team made up of any of the 3 factions and classes that you want. There are going to be other game modes as well, including a 2v2 brawl and a 1v1 mode, and I said this last time but I will say it again, I think there could be some epic 1 versus 1s in this game, and I can't wait to see who can nail down the combat and be the best there is when the game launches. Overall I've played the game on 3 separate occasions now and I think it's shaping up really good. The graphics are gorgeous, it's a bit different, and the combat system is very rewarding. I could easily see me playing this with some friends quite a bit. It looks like a bit of a laugh. On top of that, the single player, which you saw some of last time, is quite interesting. So there we have it, guys. Let me know your thoughts on For Honor down in the comments below. How do you think this is shaping up? Good, bad, ugly, bit of in between? Let me know. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, a thumbs down. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.